Jordan Peele, the man I've talked about in the past, as somebody who is brilliant as well as his mind. He works in a very mysterious ways, especially in even comedy, but even more so, he has his own way of working in the field of horror. Something I talked about with the movie Get Out, but there was another film he had to touch upon. He teamed up with a creative director named Nia DaCosta, which I'm not sure if he worked on any film before, but he worked with her and wrote with her the same script of the movie that we're talking about. What movie specifically would have people scratching their heads because it does have a cult following, but it's not as well known. But it even had the myth, legend, and icon himself, Tony Todd, that was way on board with this, and this was a much needed sequel that didn't end up happening until pretty much last year. And that movie is, well, you can hardly say its name, can you? Who can make the sun rise, sparkle it with dew? The Candyman. Oh, the Candyman can. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are taking a look at Candyman from 2021, but this is not a remake, which is what I thought it was when the movie came out. This is instead sequel to the original from 1990, including getting back the original actress from the 1990 film, as well as Tony Todd reprising his role. But is this film better than the 1990 version? The one that had the biggest cult following? But this film isn't taught as much, I noticed. While certainly the original trilogy is, why not this one? What makes it so different? Well, nothing. But if I had any say in this film is far more superior, especially working with such talented people on this. So let's take a look and figure out why the resurrection of Tony Todd is supreme and lives on to this day. Let's dive into the twisted mind of Nia Dakota and Jordan Peele and find out with the 2021 Candyman. The movie begins almost twisted, and to be a case in point, almost made me concerned that my Xbox or that the DVD was broken, but it's not, and plays a very twisted version of the Candyman song. Anyways, the original film opened up in Cabrini-Green in 1977 as we follow a young boy doing the most haunted thing of all, doing the laundry. Everyone will have goosebumps during the supreme, thrilling, doing the laundry scene. But soon the boy is met by the one, the only Candyman, played by the god, the myth, and the legend himself, Tony Todd. Now, I gotta say, I love this simplistic design, but I'll talk about more about that later, as he offers him some candy, but the boy looks on in horror. I mean, it's just Tony Todd, a strange man offering a young boy candy, nothing wrong about that, right? We cut to the year of 2019, where we meet our main character, Tony, played by Yahya, oh crap, I can't pronounce his name, hold on a minute. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, as he is an artist, he is a painter, and he wants his artwork to be recognized. He's also in the presence of his wife and her gay brother, which I think is kind of nice. But her brother decides to not keep everything so simple because he's gonna turn the party up by telling them a scary story. Tells them the story from the original Candyman about the student that went to go and take pictures. But where it all went wrong, as she kept getting more and more deeper into the mystery, she suddenly snaps. This is why I love psychological horrors, because they tell everything that we need to know from the 1990 film without having to watch it, but you should. But Tony, as an artist, isn't doing so well. He's sad that his artwork suffers. He's upset because he's not so good at what he does, but he wants to be better and he plans to be better. But the problem is with Tony is that he doesn't know how to be, but especially when critics tell him that his artwork needs to try to improve. So he thinks of a good way to do it. So, what is a poor man to do when you need an idea? Why, the only best thing to do. Go and in search of the story that he heard, which he ends up doing and taking pictures of the church where the story was taking place, where the Candyman first appeared, but he is soon stung by a bee, and that's where the story gets interesting. He soon meets a man named William. William ends up owning a laundromat. I wonder if that's any connection. But anyways, William knows everything there is to know about this myth and legend, so he decides to bring Tony to his laundromat to tell him all about the horrifying secrets and the man behind the legend. William tells him about the first time that he saw the Candyman at the laundromat. Wonder if that's a connection. And William also tells him that the man was shot down in cold blood by the police officers and was presumed dead, and also that they found razor blades in the candy, making a connection that he was the killer, but it turns out they were wrong. But Tony starts to change as well as his artwork starts to get darker, more mysterious, and in a way, a lot more fucked up. He ends up drawing a fantastic picture of bloody hands all over the place as he gives a creepy dialogue over why he drew it to influence Candyman, so people will say his name and live in terror. But he is cuckoo for Cocoa Pops by this point. Anyways, at an art gallery, Tony decides to tell, well, an art director what's going on, as it's disapproved of the man that running the art gallery as he pulls his wife aside and decides to bitch her out for it. But, it's just all in a good art gallery, it's all in everyday good fun, right? Actually, no. Tony ends up getting drunk off his ass and telling off a man that walked into the studio, as well as telling off the man who hired him. So, yeah, Tony would ended up drunk or he's being twisted by the Candyman from the inside out. Anyway, that you look at it, he is not an okay person and ends up calling his art director a bitch. To his art director's credit, takes it quite well. Sort of. Anyway, at the art studio, while Tony's feeling sad and depressed at home, things are getting kinky at the art studio as the couple decides they're going to make love inside the art studio. Nothing like the good old art of Picasso and Andy Warhol to get a woman's panties all wet in a knot. But seriously, why the hell is that happening? Oh, right, so he can kill the shit out of his own girlfriend. Dude, you are going to get laid in a art studio. Take advantage of the situation. But then he realizes something's wrong. His girlfriend ends up summoning the Candyman, and guess what? It's his turn to be turned into candy. But what I love about this is that you can see him in the mirrors, but you can't see him dragging him along. But this is one of the coolest aspects of the whole thing, and where the special effects really begin to shine. Some of my favorite moments are honestly the kills because of how creative that they come up with. Reminds me of Nightmare on Elm Street. Creative ways of death. But Tony doesn't seem to be getting better. His wife Brianna returns home, but his bee sting is getting worse and worse, and even more so does Tony's attitude. When Tony hears about the report on TV, he laughs. He shrugged it off in a way, but he laughs about it, and he tells his wife like he deserved what was coming to him. And much to her concern, she walks away, while her brother listens on about what's been going on, and even her brother thinks he's turning crazy. Tony ends up picking up some tapes at the college where the woman from the original movie, sorry I can't remember her name, went to, as he tries to use the elevator, but something goes horribly wrong. And he ends up meeting someone that he should not and wanting not to be meeting today. Goddamn people can't get their own elevator rides sometimes, if you know what I mean. But it freaks him out to the point where he escapes nice and calmly while picking everything up. Probably the student must have thought that he took on some acid or something and was tripping balls. So they think nothing of it. Simple college. But Tony isn't doing so good, Mr. Stark, as he ends up drawing pictures of the past Candyman. We'll talk more about that in a bit. But he starts to go crazier and crazier, more psychotic, as if something's twisting him from the inside. But what could it be is the ultimate question. Is the Candyman being born through him, or is he being turned into him? Questions that need answering. But it turns out something is going on with him inside of his head as he looks in the mirror and sees his reflection. But it's not him, it's the Candyman, as they both react the same way. This is a great scene in the movie and really makes the audience and the viewer think, is he being transformed? Is it all in his head or is it really happening? This does end up coming into play later on in the film, but again, a great scene with some great acting involved in it. However, he tried to be there for his wifey during the moment when they hear that the reporter that he talked to had died and her husband found her in the bathroom. This made him paranoid and made him run for the exit. But where does he go? Not home. He returns back into the arms of William. William tells him about the demented, twisted tale of the original Candyman, a painter from the 1890s. The painter meant well, but fell in love with a woman, a white woman, but her husband would not to appease with it, and had him killed. But Brianna, Tony's wife, ends up finding that, guess what? He's been having some weird and fucked up paintings that she is very concerned about, to the point where he tells her that it's the Candyman, and he thinks he brought him back. But Brianna thinks the whole thing is bullshit and won't even listen to Tony, and even Tony snaps when she tries to do the ritual in the mirror. But even better is that at a high school, everything gets worse for the girls as they end up trying the ritual themselves, thinking it won't work when an autistic girl named Trina runs in and tries to have some quiet time. Note they pick on her thinking that she's drunk, but obviously she's autistic and puts on her headphones so she can blast out the noise because that's kind of a normal thing. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I like to think different. But sadly, Trina sees otherwise. She thinks it's all just a joke that they're playing on her until she starts seeing blood and hearing people stabbed. Until she realizes, oh shit, I'm in a horror movie and bitch, I'm probably going to die. Which she doesn't, as far as we know, but still. Anyways, Tony realizes his hand is getting worse. Much worse than he anticipated. So he, instead of playing it off, just suddenly realizes my arm is getting worse. And so he realizes maybe I should go and check into a hospital, which he ends up doing so. He goes to the hospital and suddenly leaves. Yep, no explanation or repercussion. He just walks in with the bee sting. They do a couple tests on him. Next thing you know, transition, and he's walking out of there. What happened? Never explained. Why is the shirt bloody? Who knows? Oh, wait, it's covered in paint. Never mind. But anyways, he goes to meet his mother, played by Vanessa Williams. He ends up going to his mother, saying that he found a hospital where he would pronounce born, but he told his mother, enough games. I want the truth. Where was I born? What is the actual story behind me, and what actually happened? And Vanessa Williams tells him something that brings the films all together. That he was the baby that was supposed to be sacrificed and reborn into Candyman, the one that Helen saved from the 1990 original film. This made Tony very, very, very paranoid. As unseen, Tony goes to William, as William decides to kidnap his wife, hold her hostage in the church where he was baptized, and give her a whole speech about the rebirth of Candyman, and how the world needs him to be involved, even to the point where he turns Tony into the Candyman himself. William ends up chasing down Brianna, and in a turn of events, William finds himself dead. But not just dead. The dude ends up very, very fucking dead. Brianna had to realize what happened to her husband. Tony's no longer Tony. He has now been reborn as the Candyman. The ritual is complete. But however, Tony will not be very much alive tonight. Instead, he'd be gunned down. Gunned down by who? The police force. Who else did you expect? After the officer brutally gunned down her husband, he starts asking her questions about what's happening and giving her two options. She can talk and give her own story, or he can take her in as an accomplice and light her up and all that jazz. So, Brianna decides to do the smartest thing. She ends up summoning her demented demon husband. Now, wouldn't that be nice for people? A nice demon demented husband that they can summon to their aid. As he ends up killing all the police officers in revenge for his wife, so nothing bad would happen to his wifey. If that's not true love, I don't know what is. And before her husband disappears, he ends up saying one hell of a great line.
The writing on the walls, like the sweet smell of blood on the street. The buzz that echoes in the alleyways. They will say, I shed innocent blood. You are far from innocent, but they'll say you were. That's all that matters.
But while Brianna escapes, the officer is not alive, and we find out that her husband had been reborn as the one and only Tony Todd, who tells his wife to have everyone remember his name and to forever say his name. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Candyman, directed by Nia Dakota, with a screenplay by Jordan Peele, Wynn Rosenfield, and Nia Dakota herself. And how is it? This is a fucking awesome horror film. The acting is just really superb. Everyone in this movie plays it seriously. No one goes over the top, except in a few places, but everybody plays it as seriously as they can. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II should really get an award for this performance because he really does a great job at showing a man who goes into everything, who ends up losing everything, including his own mind. If you're as much as a psychological horror fan just like I am, you will really love Candyman. And as a guy that really loves his psychological horrors, this was an eye pleaser. Very well done, with very good special effects, and very good acting, with a great director behind it all. But just remember, boys and girls, next time you take that piece of candy, just be careful about what you're biting into in case of allergies, or even worse, Razor Blaze. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching my video. If you liked it, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and join me at Twitter with the link in the description down below. I would love to review the original Candyman, maybe for Halloween. If you like me to do so, then please let me know in the comment section down below. And also let me know if you like this sequel as much as I do. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. And remember, who can make the sun rise? Sparkle with you, make the world taste good. Until next time.